All right, welcome back to the Broken Home Podcast. And tonight we got another special guest with us. We got Cartoon. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Doing good, thanks. Thanks for showing up tonight, my man. So, why don't you give us a little breakdown? Where you from?
Okay. I'm from South Central Los Angeles, born and raised. Been there my whole life. Currently staying in Alabama right now, though. 58 years old. I got incarcerated in Alabama, and when I got out of prison, I just decided to stay here.
Oh, you set up shop there instead of going
Mhm.
back. All right, on. When you were living in Los Angeles, what was the home like? Did you have your mother, father, brother, sisters back at home?
Typical single mother family. Me, my sisters, just moms. She raised his pops. He wasn't nowhere on the scene till years and years later. We didn't get along, period. Tried to go stay with him for a little while. That didn't work out. But just not predominant, just basically raised by just moms. And my two sisters, got a lot of cousins, aunties, uncles, and stuff like that too, though.
Oh yeah. Same story for me and Mark. I didn't meet my dad till I was 13, 12 or 13, and I actually fucking hunted down Mark's father about 8 years ago. I found him on Facebook and I introduced the two of them.
Really?
Met him for it's some Oprah shit. I met him for the first time in my 30s, and it was weird answering the door. It looked just like him. Like
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do y'all get along?
We get along just fine. Yeah, it was
Okay.
just him and my mother when she got pregnant. She was very young, and he ended up going a different way. Being a young kid, he was with a crowd doing a lot of harder drugs and alcohol. And my mother's pregnant with twins, and she didn't want that around. So yeah, that's how I basically didn't know him for the first 33 years of my life.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen some I ain't gonna lie, over the years, I've seen some crazy reunions come about.
All happy, I hope.
Yeah, most of them. I can say, yeah, all of them. If it turned bad later on when I wasn't around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. When you were a youngster, who did you have as a role model? Who did you look up to?
Well, first it was my older cousin Walter. He passed away without a father figure being there. So whenever when my cousin Walter would come around, he was like God to me. Anything he said, I did. Anything he said, I mean, the whole hookup. If he said a man was supposed to be this, that's what it was. If he said a man was supposed to be that, walk, talk, look, act, whatever he said, I took it to heart. You know what I'm saying? Then when he got older, he started going in and out of prison. And so as I started getting older, I started looking up to my older homeboys in the street. Like, most of my homeboys, coming up, that's what we did. The older homies, we looked to them for guidance, father figures, the whole hookup, whatever they said, it went.
Absolutely. That's what it was like for me too. That was the older guys in the neighborhood that became almost like the father role. As a youngster, we would look up to those guys and we would follow what they're doing. If they're breaking into cars and shit like that, you better know then we're going to be following the next night doing the same stupid shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Even with beefs, there would be the older guys would be beefing with people in the next complex over, and we don't know none of the shit, but just to feel like we're part of it or something like that, we would start, oh yeah, that's them, let's get them, bullshit like that.
The same way exactly the same way in LA in the gang culture, you know what I'm saying? Whatever enemies that they had, when we got old enough, we adopted the same enemies, you know what I'm saying? Our older homies didn't like y'all. Okay, so now we don't like y'all. And as it goes on, generation coming up, they don't even know what the beef is for no more. All they know is the homies ahead of them didn't like these cats over here, so therefore they don't like them.
Yeah, it's like an inherited beef. You don't even know why.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Speaking about the gang culture, you're from Avalon Crips?
Yeah, I'm from Avalon Gangster Crip. Yeah.
Avalon Gangster Crip. When did you first get in with them?
When I was like around 12, 13 years old. About, you could say about, yeah, going from 12 going into 13.
Was that a choice that you made, or
Yeah.
did it just kind of happen that way?
Nah, I knew years and years ahead of time that I was gonna be a Crip, because like I said, my older cousin, he was a Crip. And when once, and then when I was a young kid, he would tell me, yeah, when you get old enough, you're gonna be a Crip and you're gonna woo woo woo. And so hey, like I say, I idolized him. So in my mind, that was it for me. You know what I'm saying? The first chance I got to become one, I was gonna do that because Walter said that that's what I had to become. And so as the years went on and I started growing up and getting older, I was just, chomping at the bit, looking at the chance to go become a Crip. So, yeah, I knew that's what was going, from the age of like 8, 9 years old, maybe. I knew that's what I was going to be when I got older.
In your neighborhood, was it basically everybody was associated to the Crips, or was it
Yeah.
more of a choice? You get to choose, pick and choose if you want to be or not.
Well, it's a thing like, see, gang politics in LA are different. In this area, if this is all like Avalon right here, when you come up, that's what you're going to be. Now, there's always a few that slip between the cracks that, don't have anything to do with gangs and all that. And, okay, cool. But 90%, I'm going to say 95%, if you live here, you going to be from here. It's simple as that. We going, whether it's pressure from, the older homies, when they see you, you know what I'm saying? When you starting to get older, you might be walking to the store or, going to school, and older homies see you and they own you. They like, yeah, fool, hey, you ready? You ready? You ready? You be like, ready for what? We ready to put you on the set. It's time for you to gang bang. And that's how it goes. Because you got to look at it like this here. The enemies to whatever that set is, the enemies, they don't know if you from that set or not, if you gang affiliate or not. So when they come through to do damage to you, they're going to get you. They're not going to stop and ask if you from there or not. The thing in LA is, if you live there, you from there.
Guilty by association.
Right.
Were you scared to get put on?
No. Couldn't wait. Boy, look, hey, shoo, couldn't wait. Let's go.
Yeah, that's what I hear from most people, is that they were looking forward to that initiation so they can say, no, I got put on. I can represent this officially.
Right. If you're scared, you know what I'm saying, the people around you, they gonna see that. So if you know what I'm saying, when the fighting starts, and whatever it is, we call it getting quartered on. Mm-hmm. So when you getting quartered on, and okay, say you all right, for instance, like the summer of whatever year, it might be, okay, well, look, we finna bring all 6 of y'all in now. So like you'd be like, well, okay. And like when you get in the park or get in the alley or get in back of the apartments or get wherever you're gonna get, boom. Okay, now you're gonna be like, okay, you first. And he get out there and he mixing them up. And you know what I'm saying, you looking and you sit over there scared like a little punk. The older homies that's standing around, they gonna see that and they gonna be like, nah, you go, nah, this ain't for you. You get out of here. You scary. You gonna punk the game one day. Get out. Now the whole part about the reality of it is, some of them don't be weak right then, but boy, later on down the line, they turn into silly putty.
Oh yeah. Yeah. How old were you when you first started getting in trouble with the law? Recognized by the law?
13.
13, yeah. Is that the first time you went to YA?
I went to YA at 14. I started getting in trouble at 13. You know what I'm saying, going in and out of juvenile hall. Then around my late 14s, I went on and caught a robbery, assault and a robbery, and went to YA.
Oh damn! How long was that for?
The first time I did, let me see, I did 3 years, or a little over 2.5, almost 3 years. I got out and I stayed out 2 weeks, and I went back and did like 4 years.
Holy shit!
Wow.
You got a little taste of the freedom, and then let's go back, Toon.
Oh yeah, it was always like that with me. I mean, in and out of YA, in and out of prison, in and out. It was always maybe 2 weeks, a month and a half, 2 months. Before now, the longest I had ever stayed out was like 4 months. And for me, that was like a lifetime.
I bet. What was your mentality like the first time getting put away?
it didn't bother me.
No way.
You know, they have a term when they said institutionalized. I believe my first time going to juvenile hall, I became institutionalized because I was in, I was in there, and here it is, it's hundreds of little kids my age. Everybody's gang affiliated, whether they are black or Hispanic. Everybody's gang affiliated. Everybody's in there. What I'm saying, trying to striving to become this, an OG, and repping they sets and all this and that. And for me, it was just pure excitement. Like, wow, I'm seeing dudes from different gangs, and I'm meeting different people, and it was like, whoa, wow. And for some reason, it just didn't bother me. And so when I got out, I didn't care about going back. I really didn't. I just really didn't. I looked at it as, I'm in here with all these dudes from different hoods. It's on me to be a representative of my set now and let them know my set is just as tough as theirs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So only thing was on my mind was just acting a straight fool to let them know that my set, the Avalons, were crazy too.
How big was the Avalons back in your day? Like how many members would you think?
You talking about when I first started going to juvenile hall?
Yeah, yeah.
Avalons have 4 different subsets. You got 40th Street Avalons, you got 5 Trey Avalons, you got 88th Street Avalons, and you got 116th Street Avalons. Back when I started going, though all those subsets either weren't around or we didn't have any connection with each other. The connections and the all that started coming about years later. So I could just only speak on 5 Trey Avalon. You know what I'm saying? My natural main Avalon set. You know what? I would be hard pressed as a kid at that age to tell you how many of it was. I know I'm from the 3rd generation.
Yeah.
And my generation, when we came about, all of my peers, it was about 30 of us. It was about 30, 35 of us. But now, like I say, of course, we had older homies that was there before us. Now, how many of them it was, I really couldn't tell you because, as a young kid, my focus is on my peers who I run with. And so this group of 30 right here, that was my world, that was my world.
And with those other subsets, did everybody get along or was there internal beef with them too?
We got along because at the time we really didn't fool with each other. We knew of them, but as far as us being hooked up with them, it just wasn't like that. But now, we just knew there were other streets that had the Avalon moniker on their name. But we didn't really look at it as well, let's hook up and all that. That came years later. So we just knew of them, but we didn't pay attention to them.
Were you in the youth camps or was it an actual youth, like a prison?
I went straight to youth CYA. I skipped over camp because when I was in juvenile hall, I kept fighting too much. I kept getting into stuff. I had a chance to go to camp, but I messed it off with fighting. And so even when I, in juvenile hall, I started out right then, started doing lockdown programs. They didn't want me in regular population. They put me in like the whole, like for instance, like in prison, they got what's called the SHU. So way back when I was in juvenile hall, there was no SHU and none of that, but they had lockdown programs. And I immediately got put in the lockdown programs and messing up, fighting the staff, fighting other, inmates. So they was like, nah, camp's not for you. You need to go to Y. And they shot me straight to Y.
They didn't feel that you would be able to integrate well with the other camp members, I guess, then.
Probably. I mean, if I would have went to camp, usually camp is it's a 3 to 6 month program. So you go to camp, you're going to do 3 to 6 months. Because of my case and because of the aggression that I had in me at the time, they was like, no, you don't need to just do no 6 months to get back out. We need to put you on ice for a little while. So that's why they went on and sent me straight to Y.
And if you could even recollect, how many fights do you think you got into in between these lockdown programs? Well, let's go with Juvenile.
When I came through the door, I had a chip on my shoulder because, my thing was, Okay, now look, this is how LA is. When you know, LA is real big, and it's very gang infested from one end to the next. But when you're a young kid, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, you're not going all over LA. Your whole life is right there in your neighborhood. That's really
Hmm.
all you know. So you don't know about all the other gangs that are around LA. You know what I'm saying? The only gangs you're gonna know about are the ones that's directly adjacent to yours, and the one or two dudes you might meet going to school that might be coming from other areas, and you might, but hearing about all the other ones, you just don't know about it. And so by the time you can start going to juvenile hall, soon as you come through the door, you meeting hundreds of young kids from scores and scores of there. Where you from? I'm from such and such. What is that? You know what I'm saying? And they asking me, where you from? Oh, I'm from such and such. And they like, what is that? So here it is, you a young kid, and somebody asks you where you from, and you tell them, and then they act like, they've never heard of it, which 9 times out of 10 they probably hadn't. But now you kind of take it as a form of disrespect. Oh, you trying to say we ain't known? Bam, there it goes.
Now you know.
Now you know.
And how long did it take for that chip on the shoulder to go away?
Shoot, once I hit the Y system and start really doing time,
Yeah.
You start realizing that the more that you're getting yourself into the trouble, the longer you're staying around. Or were you even thinking about getting out? Was your life, were you becoming that this is your life in here?
Yeah, I didn't. Getting out was the furthest thing from my mind. Did not care one bit about it. Whenever they did it, they did it. My thing was each and every day, what was I gonna get into next? Who were we gonna get into it with, and what was gonna be about? Home was a figment of my imagination. All the way up, I mean, like I say, that was from a kid, but all the way up into my prisons, start doing prison time into my 20s and 30s and stuff like that. Still, the home thing didn't matter to me. When I got older, start going to prison, start catching stabbing cases in prison, and going through all the rigmarole. My motto was, I'm not home till I get there. You know what I'm saying? When I make it out the gate and I'm there, then I'm there. But until then, as long as I'm on this side of these walls, I'm gonna do and program according to how I'm supposed to do and program in this world. My last stay in the California prison, the day I went home on lockdown, because the day before that, a Crip got stabbed. One of the homies that got stabbed, and by the Mexicans, and if the gates would have opened the next day, I was gonna catch me a stabbing case, and I wasn't gonna go home. And my cellie, the homie in the cell with me, he was like, Toon, don't worry about it, man. You going home tomorrow. Cause we getting our knives out our TV, we put the knives and all type of stuff. But anyway, and I'm telling him, I'm like, homie, if these gates right, I'm taking off. We call it taking off. I say, if these gates right, I'm taking off on these fools right next door to us, because the homie done got hit, so now we got to hit them. And he was like, man, you going? I'm like, man, I don't care. I'm not home till I get there. You know how I do it. And that's how my mind was. Some people mind go different directions, but that's the direction my mind went.
I got a bit of a personal question then. Do you think that being out scared you?
No, no,
No,
not at all. No,
no.
I mean, when I was out, I loved being out. I'm not the average. I'm not the norm. I'm not the norm by far. I'm in an elite class of dudes that there's, what I'm saying? Each set has at least one of my kind. And some have two or three. But I'm one of them ones. It didn't know I wasn't scared to be out. I loved being out because I was able to further my gang activity,
Yeah.
For me, the gang stuff kind of consumed me when I was young, and that's all that mattered. Okay, now I'm on the streets, so now I can do more damage to our so-called enemies. And I took to it wholeheartedly each and every day. That's all I woke up with it, went to bed with it. And because in my mind, I always knew I wasn't going to be out here alone because of the things I was into. My sisters, they would ask me, well, how long you going to stay this time before you go back home? They called jail home for me. They said when I get out, I was on vacation. Well, how long you going to stay out on your vacation? And I'd be like, man, I don't know, whenever they lock me up again, because I knew what I was doing was going to eventually get me locked up again.
What was the hardest time you ever did?
Oh, shoot, I can say when I started doing time in the Alabama prison system. Alabama prison system is so much different from California's, but I mean, but now I can say that was the hardest. But as far as it being really, really hard to me, no, I've never stressed in prison. I've never stressed over it. We have a saying, I do time. I don't let time do me. You know what I'm saying? I was always laughing. I was always jovial. I was always playing. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't the type to come out every day with, a mean mug on my face, grouchy, irritated, don't want to be bothered. That was never me. I was pretty much the same person each and every day. Hey, you know what I'm saying? But of course, do not let that person fool you because there's a switch. You know what I'm saying? I can go from 0 to 100. I could be laughing at you right now, and within 3 seconds, stabbing a dude down over here, and still had that same smile on my face. It was just, I never knew what the term sociopath was until I had to start going see the prison psychs a lot, and they were like, well, you're a sociopath. I'm like, what the heck is that? Until I started looking it up, and I was like, when I seen the definition of it, I was like, well, okay. I guess, I guess. But as far as just doing real hard time, I've never been one to let it bother me. I've seen a lot of people stress out. Some people kill themselves, cut themselves, go crazy. They got to be put in padded cells and just not. I'm like, hey, no, that's not me. Because, solitary confinement never bothered me. Being in population around everybody else never bothered me. It just didn't bother me. I can flip the switch on my mind. If I'm in solitary confinement by myself, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I do my exercises. I read or, whatever until it's time for me to, go back around everybody else. It just never bothered me.
What's the longest stretch in solitary confinement that you've done?
About 3 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they don't give you no yard time with that, right?
Yeah, you get 1 hour a day.
Oh, you do get 1 hour. Yeah. Okay.
There's no program that can legally, put you in solitary confinement for 24 hours like that. Now, when you're going through the process of getting processed and getting put in, now if it's not a situation where it's emergency lockdowns and stuff like that, like in the hole in confinement, they'll let you out for 1 hour a day to the exercise yard. Sometimes you and your cellie can go together, or if you don't have a cellie, which most of the time I didn't have one because I preferred to be by myself anyway, I would go out there by myself. But it was a lot of times that you just didn't care about going. I would go for weeks without never coming out the cell. I didn't care. It didn't make me no difference.
Yeah. How do you get the option of having a cellmate or not?
The option of it is not having a cellie, because they're going to put somebody in there with you. But you have the option. You'd be like, hey, man, no, I don't want nobody in cell with me. And sometimes, certain places be like, are you getting a cellie? We need to, and you put them in here and I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
And, you have to give it to them. Like, if you put them in there, I'm going to kill him. Now they can't put him in there because you've made that statement. Now they are up under a lawsuit if something goes wrong.
In one of your live streams, you were talking about you kept a 5-star system and everybody ran on the star system. If a motherfucker was misbehaving or disrespecting you, they were getting a star, and you let some stars pass. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, that was during my white time. That was around the time I was like around 16, 17, 18, before I started going to prison. I was in the lockdown program as usual, again called O&R. And O&R, they have it's a 3-month program. And you have first, second, and third phase, then they put you back in population with everybody else. But when you first come in, or if you get in a fight or whatever you do wrong, they'll put you on this certain tier called the TD bank. And the TD means temporary detention, where it's like the lockup cells. The police would get on my nerves. I call them police, but they was really like staff. But they would if they got on my nerves or bothered me, I'm like, okay, I was one of them cats. I will gas you. I didn't have a problem with it. And gassing is if you take urine or feces or spit or whatever and throw it on the police. They call that gassing them. and I was notorious for it. I was really notorious for it because it got to the point sometimes they wouldn't even let me out my cell. Nah, skip it cell, and I go crazy. I don't want to come out. Nah, shut up. You're not. No, we don't trust you. You're not coming out. I want my shower. You ain't get no shower. Shut up. Oh, okay, all right. And so what it was, all the staff that worked there, I put their name on a list, and I let them know, if you say or do something wrong to me, you're going to get a star. And when you get to 5 stars, I'm gassing you. And so at first they thought it was just fun and games till I start melting them. Because here it is, you take a shampoo bottle and you got urine, you got piss in it, been sitting up for 2 weeks. Hey man, it'll knock the paint off the walls when yeah, buddy. And they did not want it. Boy, look here, because man, whoosh, man, you see them again at work, and their eyes look like this. And so, and of course, I wore many beat downs. They beat me down. They would come in there running there with them shields and sticks and hit me and whoop me and hog tie me and tie me up. But I just didn't care. I do what you're gonna do, because in my world, I'm going to do exactly what I said I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do it to you. So you might as well come on and do what you're gonna do. So it got to the point where they learned, okay, anything short of killing me, that you can't, there's nothing you can do to me. So now piss me off, you're gonna get a star. And you get 5 of them, you have an issue coming. So it got to the point to where I'm talking about the staff, the police, when they would let me out for shower, they would come in, search the cell. They knew, don't mess with my I used to call them my weapons of mass destruction. you go up under my bed and you mess with them bottles, you automatically get an issue. I don't care if you got no stars. Now you automatically got 5 stars and you can get ready. And they knew, I don't care if it took a month, 2 weeks, a week, I was going to get them. They were going to get it. My memory was longer than an elephant's, and you were going to get it. So they got with the program. They would come in there and they look at that paper, and if they they would ask me all the time later on, Toon, because they call me by my nickname, Toon, man, I got 3 stars. How'd I get another star? Last week I only had 2. And I tell them, well, you did this. Oh, come on, man, don't give me a star. Yeah, I trade they butts.
Man, the police legitimately scared to piss you off.
Yeah.
And you've always been a big guy. You used to fucking rip on people. You were huge, right?
I've been over 200 pounds since I was 12.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I just think you were a gentleman for giving them 5 stars and not just a 3-star program. 5, that's pretty lenient.
Yeah, it was. I call myself giving them a little break so they get right. And I use it to my advantage. Man, I'd be in there hungry and I'd be like, hey, I want another tray. We can only. All right, I got you.
Loud and clear, all-star.
Yeah. Damn. And that was when you were like 16? Is that what you were
16,
saying? Yeah,
17, 18, yeah.
So you get out, how old were you when you got out after that run?
When I got out of Hawaii?
Yeah.
I was either 18 or 19.
And then were you on the streets or did you just get sent to prison?
No, I went home to the streets, but they tried to send me straight to prison. They had a program. Matter of fact, I was 19, almost finna turn 20, if I can remember right. But anyway, they had a thing. If you messed up in Hawaii too much, they would send you for an evaluation to Tracy, DVI, do vocational prison. They would send you to Tracy for a 3-month observation. And if you messed up, they would just go ahead and keep you in prison. And if you didn't mess up, they would just send you back. They would send you back to Hawaii. And I almost went to that. It wasn't that I settled down. It's just my time just, elapsed. They had a thing called Hawaii Life, Youth Authority Life. And that was 7 years. So, a lot of us in there, we would brag about, because, you can catch time. You might go in there with 7 years, but you could do 2 years and get out. You could do a year and a half and get out. But if you catch in time, they'll just add it on all the way till you get to that 7 years. And I had already accumulated all my 7 years. So it didn't make a difference how good I was or how bad I was gonna do them 7 years regardless. So,
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of times those be your worser inmates, and why the ones who are, they call it being maxed out. The inmates that are maxed out, that means there's nothing you can do to them no more, short of sending them to prison. But other than that, there ain't nothing you can do. You can write them up 1,000,000 times. You can't give them no more time. So, they gonna act the fool every day, all day.
That must get pretty fucking dangerous in there when you got a bunch of kids essentially just not giving a fuck whatsoever anymore because they know there's nothing you can do. I can do what
Nothing
I
to
want.
lose.
This is my house.
And that's exactly the attitude we had. That's what come they had started sending a lot of us to prison. We were what's known as YA babies. So even in the California prison system, if you can monitor it, all the most dangerous people in the California prison system that were doing all the messing up, fightings and stabbings and just going crazy are the ones who did a lot of time in YA. And because in YA, it schools you, it trains you, it gets you ready. So by the time you hit prison, oh, you good to go. It's like, okay, it's old home week.
And a lot of people say that that YA is more dangerous and more high tension than prison even is because everybody in the YA's got something to prove and nothing to lose really. And when they get to prison, it's more laid back attitude.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to on that one, because it depends on the era that they came to prison in. Because like California prison right now is so watered down, it's pitiful. It's super watered down. You got so many PCs and dropouts and dudes that are no good no more, and rats. You know what I'm saying? When I first started coming to prison, they didn't have all of that. And so as far as YA being more dangerous, no. You would get into more, childish altercations such as fights, some stabbings, hitting in the head, riots and stuff like that. But once you get to prison, when I first start coming, wasn't no fighting and all that. No, you was gonna pick that knife up and go to work.
In the California prisons, did they call a $1.50 when you would get one down the side of the face? Is that what they would call it there?
No, we didn't have that term.
Oh no,
That's some East Coast type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you usually get that for being a rat or something like that on the East Coast or whatever. In California prison, no, they just gonna stab you. They going for the kill off the rip. You a child molester or rat, anything along that line, especially a child molester or a rat. Yeah, they going for the kill off the rip.
When you got into the Bama prisons, what was the politics difference? Like, was it like a shell shock to you?
Way different. I'm talking about when I used to always ask myself, man, am I in the Twilight Zone? I gotta be in the Twilight Zone. Because that place was so much different from California. It was crazy. It was okay. It was just okay. For one, the Alabama prison system was 98% just blacks and whites. They didn't have there were no, when I first came to it, there were no Asians, period. I believe at the time there might have been 5 Hispanics within the whole prison system in Alabama. And some of them didn't even know what a Mexican was. You know what I'm saying? Because my crime partner on my case was Mexican. And they didn't know what he was. They looked at him, they thought he was white, and he would get mad. Man, I ain't what? Man, I'm a Mexican. And they'd be like, a Mexican? What the heck is that? You know? Yeah. And so that was different. And then they had more gangs. Because they had a lot of influence from the Midwest, like Chicago gangs and New York stuff. They had a lot of that, like Disciples and Vice Lords and BDs and IGDs and BGDs and stuff like that. All that come out the Chicago area. So they was heavily into that. And then they had the Crips and the Bloods from off the West Coast in there. So it was all squished into one. They had certain ideologies and politics mixed around, and they was mixing Crip stuff with gangster disciple stuff. And I used to have to try to unravel and let them know, no, Crips don't do stars and all that old stuff y'all doing. And a lot, oh man, it was just a problem. Oh, it was a problem. Oh man, my first couple of years, so many fights and most of them wasn't even fights. I just put my foot in their behinds on a lot of stuff because they was just wrong. They was just doing stuff wrong. And I spent every waking moment, no, we don't do that. We don't do this. No, we don't do that. No, it's done this way, that way, this way, that way. And I'm like, God, man.
Did you find that you were almost like teaching them how to be gangster to adopt that California politics?
Yeah, every
Yeah.
day I was teaching them how to crip a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Because they were cripping to the best of their knowledge on what they knew, and people had given them wrong information, had taught them wrong stuff, had showed them wrong stuff. You know, some people lied to them, talking about they was from California and they weren't. They coming in there and just to make themselves look like something. Oh, I'm from California. I'm this and that. This is how we do it. And they was lying and they didn't know what they were doing. But because those dudes there, they didn't know no better. They running behind them because at the time, if you was a real Crip out of LA or a real blood out of LA, in their minds, you walked on water. It wasn't that they didn't have heart. You know, I ran into a lot of them, you know, was down. They had heart. I mean, for even though what they were doing, most of it was wrong, they were willing to kill or die about it, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, it wasn't that they were scary. It was a lot of them. No, they had heart. They was down for the get down. It's just that they was down for the wrong thing. So, you know, I used to have to go out my way to show them, no, look, we do it this way. This, and this. And you know, they politics were a lot different. It wasn't as regimented and you know, it wasn't a well-oiled machine like I was used to in California. You know, you had a lot of people running around doing whatever they wanted to do, saying whatever they wanted to say, and the whole hookup, you know what I'm saying? So I had to go through the process of changing their mentality on that one. No, homie, you know, we have a hierarchy. Everybody is gonna answer to somebody, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was just a constant every day.
That makes me wonder how many sets got put together under false pretenses, thinking that
Oh
they
yeah,
were official, but not.
oh yeah. I ran across a lot of dudes out in Alabama. They had took like 2, 3 different sets from LA and smushed them together and made one. I'd be like, "You from what?" I'm from Skibbity Bop Boo. No, 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 no. There's no such thing. You either gonna be Skibbity or Bop or Boo. You know. And they were like, for real, well, they always use the term my OG. Well, my OG told me, well, your OG is fake. He's false.
Mm-hmm.
He don't know what he's talking about. And I used to have to straighten that up. Man, what you claiming? Oh, I'm from Yabba Yabba Yabba. No, 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 homie. That's no such thing. You either from Yabba or Yabba. That's it. So I went through a whole lot of that.
What took you to Alabama?
I came out here and I did a jewelry store robbery. At the time when I was in LA, I just got out. I got hooked up with a jewelry store robbing crew. We would go out of state and rob jewelry stores because at the time, California had just started that 3 strikes law.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody on the crew had been to prison 2 or more times. So if we would have got caught in California for anything, it automatically been, you know, life sentence because of the 3 strike law. So we were like, okay, well, we gonna go to different states because the laws are different. If we do get caught, we got action to get back out because they don't have the laws that California have. And so we had a little crew, man, and you know, I started robbing jewelry stores all over the place, doing certain stuff. We were up in a house in a mansion in the Hollywood Hills, and we had just came back from Miami on a dry run. A dry run is when you go to do something, but it don't go right. So we come back, and so we were like, okay, well, shoot, what's up with let's look at the paper. So we looking at the paper and it's like, okay, an armored car back in Florida. I'm like, no. I say, you know, 9 times out of 10, if we hit the armored car, we gonna probably have to hurt somebody, kill somebody. I said, I really didn't want to do that. I just didn't want to do it. Well, you know, I'm down for anything, but I just didn't want to do that. And so he said, well, the next thing on the list is a jewelry store in Alabama. I used to drink at the time. So I'm sitting there with some Tanqueray and Alizé. And I'm sitting there sipping, and he said, Alabama, and I spit it out. I said, man, stop playing. He said, what you talking about? I said, Alabama. I said, man, they don't even wear shoes in Alabama. How they got a jewelry store? And I was dead serious. I wasn't even playing. I mean, you know, back then, this is the thought of what people had when you mentioned the word Alabama. You know, everybody thought Alabama was real, real. Oh my goodness. And
Yeah.
I really considered them walking around with no shoes on. He was like telling me, no, man, you know, they got jewelry stores and they got this and that and blah, 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 blah. So Alabama it is. And man, mess around and went to Alabama, man, and we got there on a Tuesday. Tuesday night, we went to go do the jury store lick Wednesday, and got caught right then and there. I was in Alabama 14 hours and went to jail.
Were you always
14 hours.
working with the same crew when you were hitting these places?
No, it would change. Some people it would change. It would change.
Yeah. So what made you stay in Alabama?
I got close to coming home when I made parole. The same day I got out, the same day my mother went into the hospital. She was on her deathbed. I got out on a Monday, and I went by Thursday. I was back in LA. And so when I made it to the hospital, because you know they let me know she ain't got long left. So when I made it to the hospital, you know, I seen her. She was all shriveled up and small, and she was just hanging on to see me. She was hanging on to see me. I told my mom, I said, "Mama, get up. Ain't nothing wrong with you. Let's go home." And she told me, she said, "No, baby. She said, Mama tired. I'm finna go." She said, "I just want to see my son again because I'm the only boy." And she said, "I just want to see my son again. That's all." I said, "Okay." So she said, "Baby, I just asked you to do one thing for me. Please do one thing for your mom." I'm like, "What's that, Mama?" She said, "Baby, don't come back to LA." Because, she know how me in LA is. In LA at that time, it was nothing but, jail or death for me. And she didn't want me, she wanted me to stay someplace different and give myself a chance to live life without having to look over my shoulder, without having to worry about what color I had on if I'm in the wrong neighborhood. And she begged, she said, "Baby, make Mama promise before I leave here that she said, you don't got to stay in Alabama. Just don't come back to LA." And I told her, I said, "Okay, Mom, I won't." And so, I just went on and stayed in Alabama.
I think the three of us know that mothers are important. Mothers, I would kill for my mother at the drop of a hat. That's all I knew growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I got a bit of a personal question for you, Toon. Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about your mother?
Man, she was real little. Man, my mama couldn't have been no more than about 4'11", 5 foot even, maybe. And she was a little spitfire. She was a little spitfire, man. She loved me, and she loved me the best way she knew how. When I started getting older and started getting involved with, gangs and stuff, she realized it was nothing she could do with me. She did the best she could do with me. That's how I ended up finally going to meet my so-called father, because she had to send me to him because she couldn't do nothing with me. But she did, like I say, man, she did the best I can. Me and her relationship got kind of rocky when my sister showed up. When the girl showed up, coming up, I felt like she switched her love from me to them. And me, so at that time, I wasn't getting along with them. And I got to the point to where I wasn't even getting along with her anymore because she seen me as a bad apple, a bad seed. And I pretty much was probably that. That was kind of one of the things that kind of hurry up and pushed me out into the streets, because I wanted to get away from them. I felt, okay, y'all don't want me no more. Y'all just love each other, and I'm gonna go to my gang because my gang loves me. My homeboys love me. You know what I'm saying? And so that was one of the things that made me take to the gang life so swell, because in the streets with them, it was nothing but love. But at home in my house, it was arguing, stress, and strife. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Mom, she did everything she could for me, man. I'm talking about little league, football, school. She did everything she could for me. But, me getting older, just going down the wrong path. But Mom's, she worked every day. She was just good. She was just a good little woman. She worked hard every day. She did the best she could. But I was destined to be a F up. So
How often would she come see you when you were locked up?
during my early stages of getting locked up, she would always come to juvenile hall. She would come to YA and see me all the time. When I started, doing prison time, she would want to come, but I stopped letting her.
Mm.
I was telling Mom, look, you can write me or whatever, but as far as running up and down these long highways, because we might be in LA, she lives in LA, but the prison might be 700-800 miles away from her. And I wasn't finna have my mama traveling up and down them highways like that, you know what I'm saying, at her age, because she was, she had me late. And traveling up and down them highways trying to come see me now. Because half the time when she came, I couldn't get a visit anyway because I was in the hole.
Mm.
And so I would tell her, Mom, I'm okay. I said, look, I'm okay. All I need for you to do is just write me every now and then, and I'm okay. That was my thing. I couldn't have her, my sisters, kids, girlfriends, all that on my mind because I'm in this world, I'm doing this time, and I'm gonna do this time a certain type way. And so I have to cut it off. Emotional ties, physical ties, all that I had to cut off for me to be able to survive in the world that I'm in now, doing the things that I'm doing in this world. When I get out, I'll come see you then. But until then, I love you. I know you love me, but let me do this time.
Would it fuck you up emotionally when they would come and see you and then they'd be leaving and you got to sit back?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'd rather not see them than go through what I would go through seeing them and then her leaving because every time she would come, it was just tears. Oh, and I was like, man, come on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You bringing me down. See, I have a hard exterior and I have an inner hard exterior, but I don't care who you are. There's no inner hard exterior when your mother's sitting in front of you crying.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting her only son home and all that. So I didn't want to go through that, man. I didn't want to see it, and just write me. I'll call you when I can. But other than that, I'm okay, Mama. Because I would always tell her, look, I'm in my environment. Is hit or miss on them streets. But in here, this is my world. I can maneuver these waters blindfolded. So let me do me. And when they let me go again, I'll come to you.
How many birthdays did you have locked up?
From 1979 till from 1979 till 2019, every last birthday I ever had was spent in prison or jail.
Wow.
I was from my last birthday I seen on the streets before now was the birthday I had in 1979. After that, I never seen a birthday on the streets till 2019.
Do you notice that you have to change your entire mind state being out? Like with me, it could be like the littlest thing sets me off, but I know if I act on that, I'm going to get in trouble and there's going to be a chain reaction with if my daughter's not going to have her father around, the shit's not going to get paid, I'm going to lose my job. Do you work that through your mind now a lot more than you used to when you think about the consequences to these actions?
You know what? Man, like I say, when I tell you when I say I'm a different type animal, I'm a different type. That stuff like that, it never did. No, Like when I got out this time, I transformed from prison to the streets. Bang, like it was nothing. Of course, I had little small things that I would used to do, such as I'd get in the shower with my boxers on still to wash them, and I'd forget, oh, I ain't got to do that no more. Or
Yeah.
I'd get in the shower, yeah, with my shower shoes on. I was like, nah, we don't do that out here. Talking to people, I would say to grandkids or my wife or something. Well, look, I'm finna go in my cell for a minute, and my wife would be like, baby, you don't have a cell anymore. I'd be like, oh, you know what I mean, my room. Or if I'm sitting in the den watching TV or something, and I'll be talking to her about it, I'll be like, well, look, man, I'm finna go in the day room. She said, baby, we don't have a day room. That's a den. There's no more day room. I'll be like, oh yeah, you right. Other than little stuff like that, I mean, because I've been in and out so many times. I've been to prison like what, 7 times? Six times? Yeah. So, in and out, in, out, in, out. So, I knew what to expect. I knew how things were. And I just, go with the flow. Go with the flow.
You're
I've
done
Yeah.
never
now
been
though,
the type.
right?
I've never been the type that like was like nervous around crowds. You got some people do so much time they get out and they can't be around crowds of people and all that. That stuff never bothered me. I didn't care. A crowd of people, one person, it didn't make me no difference.
Mark was saying you're done now with your prison career, though, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been out for
Yeah.
years now. It's over with the prison. Yeah, I've been out for years now. And I used to always, I mean, at one time, I thought I could never stay out a whole year. I would see people that stayed out. Cause see, in California prison, it don't make no difference how much time you have. When you get out, you do 13 months, you off parole. It's really 1 year and then the extra year to get the paperwork. I mean, the extra month to get the paperwork done. But so you off, and I was like, man, I was like, man, I'd never make it off parole. I'd never make it off. And I never had made it off parole. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I would see people that stayed out a year, 2 years, 3 years, and I would look at them like they was a unicorn. Like, wow, you stayed out how long? A whole year? Ooh, I just couldn't imagine that. That was like, Purple Hearts, Green Clovers, Blue Diamonds to me.
Yeah.
What was it like trying to get work after being released, after all that time, trying to get integrated back in, get money coming in, but not go back to prison?
See, when I first got out, I went to a halfway house.
Okay.
And in the halfway house, y'all know what a halfway house is, right?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
kind of like that
Okay.
bridge, that transition kind of.
Yeah, a transition
Yeah.
house. And so in the transition house, they automatically get you, it's a 6-month program, and they automatically get you jobs and boom, 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 and different stuff. But now that was no problem for me because the whole time I was in prison, if I wasn't in the lockup or in the hole, I was working. You know what I'm saying? And so as my time went on, I start going to lower level prisons. I was already, going to the streets, working on yard crews. Like when I was one prison I was in, I was on a work squad to where it was a 4-man crew. We actually would go to the streets and work in downtown by ourselves and work. And if you want to run off, you could have ran off, but what good is that gonna do? They're gonna catch you and give you more time. And so
Yep.
I was, the working was nothing for me. I was already used to that. That was one of the things that helped me, integrate back into society when I got out this time, because I was already used to being around people, being at work and all that. So, working had never been a problem. So when I got out in the halfway house, they got me a job. I just, I got out on a Monday. When I told you Thursday, I was back in LA to see my mom's. When I came back that Monday, I started working that Tuesday and just, never looked back,
How long have you been living in Alabama now? 4 years, you said?
almost going on 5 now.
Going on 5 years now. And you don't got no plans staying. That's your roots now, is in Alabama.
I'm going to Texas. I'm gonna transition over to Texas. I'm just letting my wife get some things out the way. And because I got 2 cousins. I got 2 cousins in Dallas. I got a sister in Fort Worth. I got a son in San Antonio. So I'm going out that way.
You don't have any family in Alabama right now, then?
No,
Just
not
you and your
anymore.
wife?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You mentioned you have a son. How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
2 kids? Oh yeah. Kids are great, man. My entire perspective on life totally did a 180 as soon as I had my daughter. Before it was like I didn't give a fuck about anything. I couldn't care less what happened that day. But now it's every single day. It feels like I wake up and I do it all just to know that she's good, just to make sure
Right.
everything is set for her.
My son, he was born while I was out here locked up. When I caught this case, his mom was like 4 months pregnant with him. And so,
Oh,
yeah, I didn't have a relationship with him until I got out this time, till I got out. And my daughter, my daughter, she's my oldest, she's always been there. She my little heart. But yeah, I didn't get to see or touch, my son until I got out this time. But we good. I mean, we super good.
that's good. That relationship. It's so important for these kids to have a father figure, someone that they can come talk to, because moms are amazing. Moms are the backbone of any fucking household. And they always will be.
Right.
But But I think back to all the times that I could have used my father's guidance or a father figure's guidance, not my father in particular's guidance, because I look at what my dad did and I do the exact opposite. My kids say that I'm the best dad there is. So
Right. To me, I felt like I never missed the father figure influence because, like I say, I always had my older homeboys, and I had, I didn't like my father, period, growing up because I felt like he abandoned me. You know how a lot of kids are, I don't like him anyway. So me and him were never on good terms. And like when I got to the point to where moms couldn't handle me, she sent me to stay with him. And that was a disaster. I'm talking about that was a disaster.
he tried to put you into a blood school, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, where he lived at. And see, he did not understand what I was going through. He didn't he's old. My parents were old. They didn't know nothing about this gang stuff. And so, where he lived at, he used to wonder why I would never go outside and run up down the streets. No, 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 no. So when it came time to go to school, bought school clothes, I'm buying all this blue stuff. He didn't understand the significance in it. He just tell y'all, you like blue, huh? Yeah, it's my favorite color. Yeah, whatever. So, but when it got time to go to school, I was telling him, I'm like, hey, look, man, I can't go to school here. You're going to go to school. You're going to get an education. I was, man, look, I can't go to school. You're going to go. See, he was a big old dude, too. All the men in my family are real big. So I'm like, I'm trying to figure out now, what am I going to do? Okay, this is not going to work. So school day come, he go to check me in. They looking at me real funny because I got on all this blue. I'm knowing my mind working a mile a minute. I got to pull a stunt. I got to, say, hey, I got to show these folks that I cannot go here. So, make a long story short, I seen a blood dude trying to get some paperwork from one of the secretaries, and I just took off on him. Beep, 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 beep. We start fighting. And so, I made sure that it was, I went so Hollywood and got so dramatic with it. I'm hollering, screaming, spitting, pissing, kicking. I'm making sure everybody knows this is a problem. So by the time security and the principal got us, the principal told me and my father, y'all go in my office. So when we got in the office, he looked at me. He knows. He know I don't belong here. All this blue on. He like, where you from? I said, man, I'm from the east side. You a Crip? Yes. He looked at my father. He can't go here. So, my father with that stupid stuff. So what do you mean? You're going to deny my son his education? And the man said, look, sir, it ain't got nothing to do with that. Your son is a member of a rival gang to everyone in this school, and I cannot guarantee his safety if you force him to go to this school. So they went round and round and round and round and round, but at the end of the day, we were going home. I remember going home in the car. I'm sitting way over here by the door because I thought he was going to try to hit me. And, he was
Catch
too big.
that one.
So we got home. He was mad. I'm sick of this. This with your mama and your mama. And I heard it. But to me, it was like the teacher on Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. All I knew was, you ain't talking about nothing, clown. I'm not going to that school.
Well, we don't glorify gang life or violence or any of that. We share our experiences that we've had throughout our lives, and we hope that the youth can learn from us and sort of as an example, something to look at and see, sort of a life lesson from.
Right.
If you had to give the youth a message right now that are living that life, they're going out there, they're doing these stick-ups, they're shooting at each other, what would your message be to them right now?
I go on a lot of different platforms, and people, they ask me that. And, at first I used to really, really struggle with, what to say, what I'm saying, what to say, because I pretty much know what's going through the average, 12, 13, 14-year-old's mind, because it went through mine. Yep. And a lot of people try to put it on, well, it's a single mother family. When the father's not there, that's bull. That's bull. It's straight up. I had a lot of homeboys who had their father in the house with them, and I was in prison, NYA, with a lot of kids and people and men who grew up in a 2-parent home. But at the end of the day, they were still in prison with me. They were still in YA with me. So, just because a father figure is there didn't always mean that everything was going to be peaches and cream, because parents only have so much time with these kids. Your kids are being raised by the streets. When they outside about with their friends and their homeboys, they're being influenced and raised by that. When they're at these public schools every day, this is what's influencing your kids. This is what's raising your kids. They are what they see. They're a product of their environment. If they're raised up in this, 9 times out of 10, they're going to become this, no matter what the father or the mother is speaking on. And so it kind of get kind of hard. That's why you see a lot of parents, they might just jump up and just move completely out the neighborhoods to an area that don't really have nothing going on. Now, a lot of times those are the kids that kind of make it. But as far as telling them, talking to them, man, I can tell them, look, you can call yourself wanting to be down. You can call yourself wanting to be a part of the set, a part of the neighborhood, or a part of it. But in the end, you're going to lose a whole lot. You're going to lose the relationship with your family. You're going to lose the relationship with, when I say family, with your kids, if you have kids, with your mother, with your father, your sister, your brother, your aunties or uncles. You are going to lose that. And a lot of times you just, oh, well, he just talking. If he did it, I can do it. Yeah, I did it. But now I tell you, and I can tell you about how I did it. But, in that story, I don't tell you about the times at night when the lights are off and I'm in a room by myself and the tears kind of start flowing because I miss my mama, because I miss my sisters. You know what I'm saying? I'm still human. No matter what I did or no matter how I did it, I'm still human. So, people don't tell you about that. They don't tell you about the times when if you don't receive mail or you don't get your phone calls and you're lonely because you don't know what your family's doing. They don't tell you about the times when you go to bed hungry because you don't have anything and nobody in there is going to give you anything, and your stomach touching your back. They don't tell you about all that. You feel what I'm saying? And so here it is, you going through life thinking, man, I'm down for this, I'm down for that. But then you learn once you get in there that the same people that you threw your whole life away for are not down for you. You don't get mail from your homeboys no more. Your homeboys are not the ones who coming to see you. Your homeboys aren't the ones who accepting your collect calls. Your homeboys not the ones sending you money. Your homeboys not the ones staying up at night worrying about you if you're going to be alive the next day. They not doing that. No, they went on with their life, not caring one bit about what you're going through. Your family is the one that's going through all that. But our families are the ones that we do on and we forsake for our homies in the streets. So, if you got a chance to turn it around and stop it now, I would really, really suggest it, homie. It's too much out there for you. It's too much out there. It's too many other things that you can do. It's too much other stuff that life has for you that you can embrace and say, you know what, this is all right here. Other than sitting in a jail cell worrying about if somebody gonna stab you the next day. Or if you have to stab somebody, now you got to go back to court and you're not never going home again. You'd be surprised how many people sitting in prison right now, wishing, hoping, praying, crying, screaming, wishing and praying that they can have just one more chance to come home and be with their family and never have to go through this again. So for y'all that's out there and you haven't messed your life off yet, I will tell you, man, think about it, man, because it ain't fun. It ain't for everybody, and it ain't fun, man. It is what it is.
Man, that's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely perfect, bro. You got a YouTube channel. Where can the guys follow you at?
It's Cartoon53, CARTOON with the number 53. Push right up against it. You separate the 53 from Cartoon, it's gonna send you to a channel that kind of looks like mine, but it's not. You'll see something on there say Cartoon TV. That's not me. You'll see something on there say Cartoon Avalon. That's not me. My station is Cartoon53. You'll see a picture of me with a white hat on. You see that picture of me with the white hat on? You're on my station. I ask that you subscribe, comment, share, and like.
The Foundation Nation, we will put the links directly in this video. so people would just click it and go straight to your page.
Right.
There'll be no fucking misdirections going on. Straight to you.
They'll get all the stories, all the stories about what I went through growing up, what I went through in prison, what I go through on the streets. There's some educational videos. You'll get the videos. I sometimes, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think it's a conspiracy around every corner. I don't trust the government, and I believe in UFOs. I believe in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and I believe in all of that. Can't nobody tell me different. There's things out there that we haven't seen, we don't know about, running through those woods at night. There's things at the bottom of the ocean that man don't know nothing about. And there's things out there in space that we don't know nothing about. And so whenever we figure them out, we figure them out.
Cartoon, we got to have you back on sometime to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
I love conspiracies. I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
One thing that I've never said on this channel before, ever once, is that I am the national chief investigator for MUFON. So any fucking UFO report in this country, it comes directly to me first. I review it, and then I assign it to one of my field investigators. Or if I think it's got some substance to it, I'll take a look at it and I'll investigate it.
Right.
That's something I never spoke about that on here before. I've always kept it separate, but now that I got somebody else to speak with it on, because you're into that shit, then yeah, maybe we will talk about some of that someday then. I'll have to have you back on sometime, Cartoon. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
You have yourself a great night, and we'll keep in touch, my friend.
All right. Anytime, man. You got my number. Just hit me up and I'm there.
Take care, Cartoon.
Bro.
All right.
Take care. Have a great night, everybody.